What's going on, everyone? About 56% of stocks in the S&P 500 finished in the green today, and we have a lot to talk about as the NVIDIA stock split is now complete. When you go to NVIDIA's stock chart, and especially its options chain, you'll realize it's a lot more affordable than it used to be. On top of that, Apple is having a week-long event with their Worldwide Developers Conference. They had a couple interesting AI-related updates there, so stick with us all the way until the end, and we'll definitely hit on this. But there was also some interesting GME news with GameStop and Roaring Kitty's once billion-dollar position. So we have a lot to talk about today, and we have some pretty good setups going into the rest of the week. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, the SPY actually did pretty good today overall. You know, from opening, it ended up moving up pretty well. I'm not going to say it was the best day ever because, honestly, the move up on the percentage was pretty low, 0.31%. Like you said, there were a majority of stocks in the green, and that was good to see, but the intraday price action was okay from open. You know, we did have a nice steady recovery, and it's pretty close to the all-time high again, which is right up around that 537 mark. So if it can break there this week, hey, we'll be right at a new all-time high, Mike, and there's a lot going on here. And of course, stick around for the Apple news coming up soon. But firstly, I did want to talk about GameStop again. You know, I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I'm feeling pretty bad about this whole situation lately. It's down 12% again today. Definitely not what people were looking for, Mike. And I hate to say it, but Roaring Kitty's position is definitely taking quite a hit here. Down today, it was down $51 million. The options he holds are down $34.5 million today alone. Now they're only up $13 million. Imagine if GameStop falls another 12% tomorrow. He'll end up being deep in the red here on this. Now, obviously, he'll still have a lot of money overall, but at the end of the day, this is not what you want to see, right, from Roaring Kitty's account, especially with that live stream, Mike. So I don't know about you, but this is a pretty weird situation, and just be very careful out there, guys. This is getting pretty crazy.
Tom, check out the GME update from June 6th. You can see that his total gain on that day was almost $400 million. That's crazy. And now the total gain is all the way down to around $31 million. So he's definitely feeling the heat. And as we could tell just by looking at his Twitter account, that meme he posted today isn't necessarily the most uplifting. So very interesting situation with GME. It is now to the point where even more selling pressure is coming in. And as we've said, just from the beginning with GME and stocks like it, these stocks move a lot based off of hype, attention, and momentum. The more the stock goes up and the more attention it gets, the more explosive upside potential that it has. At the same time, when that hype and attention and euphoria starts to drain out of the stock, kind of like what we're seeing now, that makes it a lot harder for it to rise. And it's pretty obvious just by looking at what happened with this stock over the past couple of years. When that momentum's there, there's opportunity. But when that momentum fades out, that's when things get dangerous. So whether you're bullish on GME or you're bearish or whatever else, keep a close eye on the, you could say sentiment associated with the stock and the intraday momentum. But either way, this stock is getting more and more volatile by the day.
It really is, Mike. You know, everybody's also looking at these other stocks like AMC and FFIE, and they're also pulling back pretty hard. I guess FFIE, looks the best out of everything else. But then again, it's a penny stock. So, from the high to the low, it's down 33%. Let's see GameStop's move so far, because this is actually a pretty rough move now if you count today. Down to the low of day today from the recent high, it's down 65%. I almost can't believe I'm saying that, Mike. And that was like whenever Roaring Kitty, of course, was a billionaire there in after hours. Of course, he couldn't sell his options that night, but nonetheless, it would have been nice to maybe see some shares get sold. And I don't know, Mike, whenever you start to look on Twitter, it's like, he might be regretting it a little bit. And I don't blame him. I'd be regretting it too. So at the end of the day, it's a weird situation. And overall, Mike, I think that just focusing on the better moves with some better stocks out there like Apple and Microsoft and Nvidia and other stocks like that is honestly a better way to go. But in the short term here, I'm going to not say that the fight's over yet with GameStop. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you still think that there could be some more momentum coming?
Yep, it's all a game of price action, momentum, and just sentiment from here on out. But we'll see. But a lot of people were looking at Apple today, as you hinted at, as they had their first day of their worldwide developer conference. So what's the news here? Because Apple's price action doesn't look all that great.
It really doesn't. That was a pretty rough move today by Apple, down 1.91%. A lot of people out there do kind of say that Apple does sell down sometimes during these events, and I guess this one is another one of those examples, Mike. It definitely didn't wow the investors today, but I saw that they partnered with OpenAI, and it looks like Siri is going to tap into that, and that'll be very interesting to see like what Siri can do. And they're also doing something with Apple Intelligence as well. So there's a couple big things that they're doing, and Mike, they said the key words, right? AI, but we didn't get the buying pressure. So I don't know what's going on. Obviously, investors didn't like it too much. And they did announce a lot of updates, like with their watches, the MacBooks, of course, iPhones, and other things. But I thought the really big things were obviously Apple Intelligence and then that news with OpenAI and Siri.
Another thing that was pretty interesting is that Elon Musk actually ended up tweeting saying if Apple integrates OpenAI at the OS level, then Apple devices will be banned at Elon's companies. He said this is an unacceptable security violation. And then he also added, and visitors will have to check in their Apple devices at the door where they will be stored in Faraday cages. So that's pretty crazy. And clearly Elon has a strong opinion with this, but, I think it might lead to maybe some broader concerns with integrating OpenAI or just AI in such like a deep level to all of these Apple devices. And, maybe that could be some of the reason why we saw some pretty strict selling pressure come into Apple for, a lot of the day and especially later in the day. But very interesting nonetheless. Looking at Apple right now, they have this WWDC event for the entire week. So if they clarify more or if they add more context to everything that they've talked about today, maybe that can kind of change some of the sentiment associated with Apple stock right now. But so far, it's definitely not been the best.
Yeah, it really hasn't. And, we talked a lot yesterday about Apple being right around that key $200 level. And with it starting to reject down, I think a lot of people might be like, uh-oh, it's right at resistance again. We're starting to see some selling pressure. We might start to see that snowball, Mike. And right now, it's looking like it's forming a bit of a triple top, especially if we get more confirmation down over the next couple days. It'll be looking like a pretty solid triple top there on the daily chart. So definitely keep Apple on the radar over the next few days. It's going to be a huge with their WWDC event. And Mike, I know that, Apple's been talking about AI a lot, and we've also been talking a lot about other AI companies, and one of them is NVIDIA, of course. They split, and it's pretty weird to see that they're trading at $121 today. It was a 10-for-1 split, and obviously, they were like around $1,200. Now they fell down to around $120 with this split, and I don't want to say they fell. It just switched here on the chart necessarily. And the big thing is really, Mike, is that everybody really thinks that this is going to be groundbreaking for the stock, and out of nowhere the company is going to go up. And we might see that with how cheap some of the options are now and with how cheap the stock is. But overall, the company doesn't really change.
You know it. But one other thing we definitely have to talk about before we go on any further are the giant economic events lined up for the week. So Wednesday is definitely going to be the most important day of the week, as we have crucial inflation data set to release 1 hour before market open. And then later in the day at 2 p.m. Eastern time, we have the FOMC interest rate decision. As we all know, these events are very important. 30 minutes after that, at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, the man, the myth, the legend, Jerome Powell is coming back. So we're set for a pretty exciting week, let alone all of the other big moves we're already seeing in the market from GameStop, Nvidia, Apple, and a handful of other stocks. But we're set for a pretty good week on those fronts. And then earnings this week honestly isn't going to be all that crazy.
Yeah, it's really not. On Tuesday, we do have Oracle. Wednesday, there's AVGO or Broadcom. And then Thursday, we have Adobe. But overall, these aren't stocks that are really going to make or break the market for me, right? Like it's not NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Google, anything like that. I definitely do like AVGO quite a bit on Wednesday. But I think you're right, Mike. The big thing is going to be Wednesday here with the inflation data. And then, of course, whenever Jerome Powell and the FOMC meeting happens, that'll be huge. And hey, I will be live streaming that on the Stocked Up Live YouTube channel. If you guys haven't checked that out, check it out. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, I will have it live there, Mike. And I will say this, the price action this week has been very interesting with the SPY right around all-time highs. Powell could be like a make or break here if we're going to, get back up to those new highs or not.
Yeah, there we go. All right, well, it's now time for the good stuff, which are some setups and predictions. A stock I'm watching very closely right now is LUV, which is Southwest Airlines. This stock had a great pop today on news that an activist investor took a stake in the company and is definitely pushing for changes. This can definitely help out if it's executed correctly. But either way, LUV is moving in a pretty good way right now. The short-term price action has been phenomenal. And if we can just see continuous bullish price action with this stock, I definitely think it has more room to go. I would like to see a break above the $30.25 area first, and then ideally break above the $30.50 area after that. There are a couple key levels overhead, but again, as long as we see that consistent bullish price action and we break either one or both of the levels listed, I think it has a nice risk reward to the upside.
Yeah, I do too. I think this one's looking great today. It had that good pop in pre-market today, and I think that for tomorrow, if it starts to break out above those levels you listed and just that range overhead, I think it could have a pretty good move. These airlines have actually been doing pretty great over the past couple weeks. With my first play, I'm looking at Intel, and Mike, Intel was a pretty weird big money play that happened recently. Back on May 3rd, we had the Intel 30 strike calls called out for August, and they're coming back pretty well right now. Intel ended up holding the key $30 support here, and I really wanted to revisit this big money play and just revisit Intel in general because this support's holding up very well. You can see the base starting to form, and also as we go to Bookmap, you can see where all those shares are stacked right there. It's not like yesterday where Apple had over 1 million shares at 200, but for Intel being a much less popular stock, they have 205,000 shares stacked up at 30, so that's a pretty good sign. That's definitely a pretty good support down there. You can see it right on the Bookmap. I love them. Shout out to Bookmap. I find a lot of supports and resistances using that platform, but at the end of the day, Intel's forming a nice base, and I am going to watch it up over the next couple weeks. I will stress I am watching it up tomorrow if we do break above 31, but it's more of a play for the next couple weeks, and I think that a re-entry on the big money play is pretty fire now. It's almost back to break even.
There we go. Yeah, it's definitely been holding that support in a pretty strong way. So good eye there, and hopefully it continues to hold. But another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Netflix. So basically this stock has been pretty overextended over the past couple of months and even over the past couple of years at this point. There's a whole lot of resistance up above between the 650 all the way up to 665 area. There's a decent amount of resistance, and the stock has been getting just a little bit weaker by the day. I would love to see continuous bearish price action with this one and then a flush lower. But like most other setups out there, it really depends on what the market itself is doing. For example, if SPY starts blasting towards a brand new high, it's not necessarily a smart idea to short Netflix, where on the other hand, if SPY is more choppy or even bearish, it can make a downside play with Netflix much easier and just something that provides a much better risk reward overall. But either way, Netflix is on my radar to the downside.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep it on the radar, Mike. Some of these supports are starting to definitely get tested in the short term. If they give out, it could be pretty bad, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these tech stocks, like Netflix, started turning over a little bit more. With my next play, I'm looking at Oxy back to the upside. It started doing pretty good today. Oxy and the oil stocks were actually selling down a little bit over the past few weeks, and I like that they're forming a bit of a base around this $59 to $60 support, so I will keep watching Oxy up in the short term. I'm not necessarily going to buy and hold Oxy here forever, but I do think that for this week we could see a nice move back and just a retest of resistance, maybe around 61 to 62.
All right, sounds good. Well, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have AI to the upside.
AI, I don't know if we had enough talk about AI today, Mike, between Apple and Nvidia and everything going on, but either way, AI did very well, 4.5%. If they break out above 3150, I'll keep looking at them to the upside.
All right, with the next one, we have NEM also to the upside.
Yeah, we've talked about this one a lot in the metals sector. They're bouncing off that $40 support, and if they break above 4140 tomorrow, look at the opportunities up.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Coinbase for both directions.
Coinbase is always a wild stock, and today it did not disappoint. It didn't necessarily hit its average percent rise, but it was up 2.3%. If it breaks out above 254, then go ahead and look at the opportunities up tomorrow. If it ends up breaking under the support around 246, look at it down. That's a pretty major support here.
All right, sounds good. So we have the downside level for a move lower, we have the upside level for a move higher, and then don't forget about NEM and then AI for their upside levels for potential bullish plays. Either way, these three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow if and only if they break through the levels Tom listed. The more consistent and powerful the price action is, the better the setups become. If they do not break the levels listed, then don't feel the need to force the trade. The stronger the momentum, the better the setup. But keep that in mind for tomorrow, and let's jump right into today's $537,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol BL. So today, the big money put a little bit over $500,000 into the BL $47.50 strike call options that expire on July 19th of 2024. Looking at BL right now, it is definitely sold off quite a bit over the past couple of weeks and months, and it is now to the point where it is at a crucial support level right around this $45 area. Either way, these call options are close to the money, and they don't have that much time to them, so a setup like this one will be a little bit riskier than usual, but while referencing, let's say, this $45 support, as long as the support can hold, there's a really good risk-to-reward here, but again, it is a little bit riskier than usual given the expiration.
It really is. I'll say this. It definitely sold off a lot. It looks really oversold in the short term, and this stock looks like it has a lot of these wild moves where it'll have these big sell-offs like this, and it'll come roaring back to life for a few months and then, chop around. But some of these swings that it has are pretty nuts, and that support that you listed is pretty major, and it actually just broke a previous support as well, right around 50. So I'll definitely be watching it up. If we see like a solid confirmation and breakout back above like 46 tomorrow, and you didn't already catch the entry today, I think that there could be a pretty good opportunity tomorrow there. So just keep your eyes on BL. That is a crazy chart, Mike. I don't know that we've seen a stock this oversold in the short term before, besides GameStop.
All right, so keep a close eye on this one going forward. But looking at the market as a whole this week, we have a lot on the schedule, especially in terms of economic data. So it will definitely be a crazy one. Tom, looking at SPY right now, we are still very close to the all-time high. If you had to pick just a handful of levels to watch for tomorrow for both directions, what should we watch?
Yeah, so there's a lot of wicks over the past couple days that extended right up to this 536 resistance. That's going to be the main level I'm watching tomorrow morning. If we continue to break out and hold above 536, that'll be a great sign. I'm sure that we'll get to 537 and probably make new all-time highs tomorrow if that happens. And if it does happen, we'll probably see a lot of tech stocks having a pretty good day overall. So I'm definitely watching 536 as support here. 534 40 to like 534.50 is definitely a big area of support. There was lots of bounces there today, and I really like 533.50 underneath there as well. For the longer term, this 531.50 support's pretty good too down there, but like I said, I think the main level I'm watching is that 536 resistance.
There we go. And if you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. We post all the time, and in every single video, we cover setups, predictions, big money plays, important news to be aware of, charts you won't find anywhere else, and basically everything you need to know about the stock market is covered in 20 to 25 minutes or less. So if you want to see our videos recommended to you more often, demolish that subscribe button and join the StockedUp crew. But let's also give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Mr. J in the StockedUp Discord, who's been having some awesome posts lately and who's been in the chat for over a year now. So huge shout out to Mr. J and keep up all the great work. But guys, looking at the market for this week, it's definitely going to be an exciting one, especially on Wednesday. It is it's definitely like it's go time on Wednesday between the inflation data, the Powell return, and the interest rate decision. It's definitely going to be an exciting day. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's make this week a great one.